Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Amy. Thank you so much for stopping by again today. Today I have a tutorial. I had somebody request if I could do a tutorial for how I put this house box together for Erica at Scrap Diva Design. So I'm on here really quick to just do a quick tutorial. It's really simple. Once you know how to do it, you can utilize this for anything. But okay. I have already went ahead and marked these. I am going to have the measurements in the drop down box as well, but I'm going to go through everything with you guys. Okay, so, and I haven't cut anything. I'm going to go through all of it. So, okay, so you're going to need 2 pieces of paper. These are your papers for your side right here. And then of course you're going to need 2 of the house base. Now there are 3 sets. There's the main first house, which is the Slimline house, which is just the one piece. Then there is the Slimline house add-ons. That one is the base piece, this one here with the windows. And then there is the roof add-on, which is all the little extras. So that's just so you know, that's what you will need, the set number 2, which has the base piece. Okay, so we're going to cut 2 pieces of cardstock. Now, mind you, when you're doing this, keep in mind, I used plain paper, so it is irrelevant to me which way I cut. But if you were going to use pattern paper, which would be super cute, you are going to want to keep in mind which way that, remember like the direction of your pattern when you're cutting your paper, because nothing sucks more than cutting on the wrong side. I've done it so many times, and then maybe that was your last piece of cardstock in that paper. So keep that in mind when you're getting ready to do it. So we're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock. The first one is going to measure 10 1/8 by 3 3/4. And then the second piece of cardstock is going to measure 7 7/8 by 3 3/4. Okay, so then we're going to take this one here, and the first thing we're going to do, it doesn't really matter which way you do this, but this is the way I do it. So I'm going to score at, it's already scored, but I'm going to show you how. So I scored it 1/2 inch on this side. So in other words, let's see here. So I scored at 3 1/4. And then I prefer, it's hard to do it on that side. I prefer to just flip it, and then you would score again at 3 1/4. So that's going to give you your 1/2 inch on each side. I hope I didn't confuse anyone by doing it that way. Then we're going to flip it this way. And then our first score mark is going to be at 2 3/4. So we got our 2 3/4 here. Our next score mark is going to be at 7 1/8. And then our last score mark is going to be at 9 5/8. So that's going to give us all of our score marks. And just to go over those again, so on this side, on the long side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch on each side, or if you're measuring, it's at 3 1/4. So 3 1/4, flip, 3 1/4 again. And then on the long side, you're going to score at 2 3/4, 7 1/8, and 9 5/8. Okay, and then on our second piece, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to score at 3 1/4. We're going to flip it again. We're going to score at 3 1/4. And we're going to flip this way, which doesn't really matter, but then you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then you're going to score at 4 7/8. And then you're going to score at 7 3/8. So again, on the long side, it's 1/2 inch on each side, or you can measure over 3 1/4, flip, 3 1/4. And then on this side, we're going to score at 1/2, 4 7/8, and 7 3/8. So now we have our 2 pieces, and I've already die cut these, so I have these 2 house pieces. Okay. So the next thing we want to do is, so these 2 pieces up here, these are the top. So they are this right up here. So we are actually going to cut, and I wrote my directions down wrong here, so just ignore. So this is my top flap. So I don't want this here. So I'm actually going to completely cut off this part. And then I want to have a little bit of, I'm forgetting what this is called, but that thing right there. So I want to have a little line in there. So that's how you do this. You're going to cut off. So on this piece that starts your short piece, the 1/2 inch side, this is the side that you're going to want to cut it off. So we're going to do that again. Just going to cut it all the way off down to here. And then we're going to do this again. Miter. Like, it took me a second there. Miter. It's still too early in the morning here in Seattle. Okay, so if you can imagine now, this is going to be our box top. So that's what you can, so you can see that right there. Okay, and then we're going to continue on down here. So I want to put scores, miter these corners as well. In this particular instance, I want to make sure I have a miter here. And this one is going to connect to my other piece, so I want to have a miter here as well. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And you were doing this on your 1/2 inch area right there. So that's our first piece right there. And now we're going to cut our second piece. So again, this is our top piece. So this is the base of our box, this is the side of our box, and this is the top of our box. So we are going to cut straight down to this line and then miter it. And then again, we're going to cut straight down and miter it. And then again, that gives us that's our box top. And then we're just going to go through here and we're going to miter all of our corners. We want to miter on each of these. And then we're going to do this one here. And then I want to miter also on the end. So just gonna miter those. Okay, so that's all of our pieces. Now, when you go ahead and score, so this is the bottom of the box, so we're gonna fold up, and you can go ahead and crease your corners. And then of course, this is the top, so we're gonna also fold this one in right here. And then this one, we wanna fold back because that's gonna be our little milk top that we're going to add our little holes through, which I'm not going to do on camera, but and just so you know, I did actually, this is completely optional, I did take a little sliver of cardstock. This is a 1/2 inch. Of course, you want to have it just a hair under a 1/2 inch or it'll be too big, but it's 2 3/4 wide, and then by just a hair under a 1/2 inch. I did actually reinforce mine and glue down a second piece just to make it a little stronger for so when the holes go through, like, and the ribbon's going, it won't, you know, tear up the paper. So that's our first piece. And then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to score our sides here. I mean, fold our sides. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So, all right, so the first one is done. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. This is the piece that's going to connect to our base piece. So we're going to fold that one down. And then this one, we're going to fold down because that's going to form our top. And then again, we're just going to fold this one up right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fold the sides. Okay. All right. Now we're ready to go ahead and start to assemble. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and we want to connect our two pieces. So as you can see now, this is where we're connecting. And then we have, that's our box. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use, you can use whatever adhesive, tape, whatever. I don't like tape unless you're going to add even the score tape, unless you're going to add glue, because it does fall apart. I've gotten I've had projects I've made, I've received projects, and tape will lift over time. So I typically only use glue, but if I'm going to do a project where it needs to have that instant connection, I'll use tape and glue. So all I'm doing here is just connecting my piece. You can connect it from whatever side that you want that makes, you know, most comfortable for you. And that's it. That's all you're doing. You know, you want to make sure that your lines, like, you know, match up well, like fit right inside, just like so. You can kind of just line it up just like that. So you can see that my lines, that's kind of how I do it, that I can visually see that my lines are gonna match up. That way I don't get ready to, you know, it's already glued down and now all of a sudden I figure out that they don't match. So, okay. So there is our box. Now this is how I did this. You can do it any way that you want, but I like to know that my box is centered and in place. So I actually started with the bottom piece. So this is how I did it. So I took this piece, put glue on it, and then I actually took it and lined it up just like so. This is how I did it. Because that way I can see, because when I measured this, this is really, you can see it's like end to end. It is really pretty much the exact same size as the house. So you really want to make sure that, you know, you're not going over. So once it's kind of adhered, then I can go ahead and I can just come down here and I can make sure it's got a good adhesion. So that's the first side. That's really the hardest part. So now, because now you've got that all lined up. So now you're all good to go. So now I just went ahead and I did one side at a time. So I just took my glue, put it on here, and then this, all you're gonna do is you're really just taking it and lining it right up. So, and if you turn it sideways, you can just kind of, you know, see that visually that you're getting it right in there. And you can see that it's the perfect spot right there at the top. And then you can kind of go along this with your fingers just to make sure it's kind of attached. And then I like to go back in with my bone folder after. And I like to make sure that it's firmly pressed down. And that is the first side of our box. And see, now we've got this perfect top, and you don't have to glue this or anything because this is what you're going to use to open it. So then you want to go to the other side. You're going to do the exact same thing. Just going to add glue onto this side right here. And then we're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to take it and line it up with the top. And then once you have it lined up, you can kind of press it in one little spot just to get it to stick. And the nice thing about glue is you have time to move it around. So just in case you end up in the wrong spot. And then I'm just going to go in here with my finger, and I'm just going to press it down so I know I have a good adhesion. So that is one side of our box. It's already done. So then all we're going to do now is, in this particular instance, because it's already all together, I'm actually going to put my glue on all of it at the same time, because otherwise it's going to be incredibly difficult to, if I just glue the bottom. I mean, I could just glue you could just glue the bottom actually, but I think if I'm not mistaken, this is how I did it. It's already in the right shape, so it should just come together really nice and easy. So then after you do that, all you want to do is just line it up just like we did before. You want to line it up with your base right there, and then kind of hold that in. And then all you have to do is do the same thing here. You can bend back your flaps if you want. All you want to do is just now reach in and make sure that your sides, just make sure that they're kind of attaching right there. And then same thing here. I'm just going to make sure that it's all lined up. And then I'm going to reach in here. I'm pinching here just so that way I know that it's connecting. And then now I can flip it over, and now I can take my bone folder, and I know you guys can't really see this, but I'm just reaching in my box and I'm just pressing down all of the score lines there, all the edges. And that's our box. So, and then of course, all I did for the top, so these two connect right here. So as you can see, they'll just perfectly connect right here. And I love the fact that when I designed this, I wanted it to be like a milk carton, but I didn't want it to show out of the top of the box. So as you can see, once you pinch it together, you can't see it from the top of the box. Now, what I did was, hold on one sec. I actually used my Crocodile, but you could use whatever you want. And then just so that way, I did measure, on mine, I did measure from each side to make sure that my holes were going to be like an even distance from the edge. But what I did was I put my two pieces together like this after I had it measured, and I knew where I wanted my holes. And then I just took and I punched holes at that point. That's when I just took my Crocodile, and I used I used the small side. I was debating on, did I use the big side or the small side? So I just held it like this, and then I just came in and I punched it just like so. And move over. And that's it. And then I didn't reinforce this with anything. I didn't put any eyelets in it or anything. I actually just, because I had reinforced my paper with a second piece of paper, which you can kind of see because there's a little line there. I didn't reinforce this because I have double paper, so I didn't really need to reinforce it. And if I had put eyelets in, then there would have been the metal, which wouldn't have kept it from being flat. So that's why I didn't choose to use eyelets, but you actually could totally use eyelets as well. Anyway, so that's what I did. And that is our box. Anyway, I hope that tutorial was helpful. And if anybody has any more questions, just leave them in the drop-down box in case I went over anything too quick, or if I skipped anything on accident, just let me know, and I will totally get back with you right away and answer your questions. I will have all of the measurements for all of the score lines and the cut in the drop-down box, so you can just kind of like reference it instead of having to go back through the video. You can actually just, you know, like you can just look at the numbers in the drop down box. That way you don't have to go back and forth rewatching again. So anyway, I want to thank everyone for stopping by and spending some time with me today. I hope that you're inspired to go out and create something for yourself today as well. And I want to thank you again, everyone, for your super kind comments, and I will talk to you again soon. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thank you so much. Bye.